Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. So this is a series, The Scientists of the Golden Age of Islam. In its first part, I covered the eminent Arab scientists. Now I am starting talking about eminent Persian scientists. So the first in this series is Ibn Sina, and you know that he was a very famous scientist, perhaps the most famous scientist of the Golden Age of Islam. So for that, it, it will be in two parts. So his full name was Abu Ali al-Hussein ibn Sina, and he lived more than 1,000 years ago. And in the West, he is known as Avicenna, and he was, as I said already, that if not the most significant, one of the most significant figure of the Islamic Golden Age. So he is universally accepted as the father of early modern medicine. Everyone accepts that, even in the West, it is accepted. So beside that, he was also a distinguished philosopher and astronomer. And he wrote 450 books and booklets in his lifetime, a huge number. And around 240 of these manuscripts have survived. Even today they are available. And 150 are on philosophy and 40 are on medicine. And mostly they are in translated form in Latin. So you can see that, oh, I mean, this work, such important work of our forefathers, we were not able to save it or keep for next generations. The others did that, and from that they propagated, and they have reached this level. So in those days, special cells were made in Western countries to translate these books. So he was, as I said, of Persian origin and was born in near Bukhara in Afshana, and father was from Balkh, and the family settled in Bukhara. And by the age of 10, he had already memorized the Holy Quran. That is, he became a Hafiz by the age of 10 and also studied literature in school. And by the age of 18, he was also well educated in Greek sciences. At the age of 17, he was appointed as physician of Nuhtooth, I mean the ruler of that area during that period. So just at the age of 17, he was appointed the royal physician. And after his father's death, who was governor of Haramiatan, but then say a town, only at the age of 21, he was appointed as governor. Later on, he moved to Gurganj, which was the capital of Khwarizm. So let us start. In this part, I will talk mainly about this achievements in medicine and surgery. So he was among the first persons who highlighted the importance of psychotherapy. and the impact of mental illness on the nerves and body, such as fear, anxiety, and sadness. Even today, many of our population, many people don't believe in mental illness. You know that, I mean, they give different reasons for mentally ill people. But in that days, more than 1,000 years ago, he pointed out that these are illnesses, mental illnesses, and they affect the body. And he was also the first person to describe gynecological diseases such as vaginal occlusion, fibroids, and puerperal fever. All these are related to childbirth. Then he was also the first person who described paraplegia, that is the paralysis of the lower part of the body. And he also, I mean, the cause of this paraplegia, he also distinguished between the internal causes, for example, injury to the spine, and the external causes which may cause it. And similarly, he gave the idea of infection. I mean, although the credit goes to a Turkish scientist who talked about, specifically talked about microbes, but he gave I mean, he had the concept that diseases spread from one person to another, and he described the transmission of diseases such as smallpox and measles, chechak or hasra. And he was also the first person to explain a stroke, that is the laws of blood flow to part of the brain, जिसको which is in Urdu we can call it foliage. Foliage is or paralysis is a broader term. So this is the, I mean, when brain is affected due to flow of less flow of blood or complete absence of the flow, that is called stroke. So he was the first person to explain it. And this is very important that he emphasized the importance of prevention over treatment. I mean, now every medical person will say that we should try to prevent the diseases rather than treat them. These vaccines, these are used for prevention of the disease. So, but more than 1,000 years ago, he emphasized this point. And similarly, he understood the bad effects of pollution, and he understood the diseases which are caused by pollution, for example, respiratory allergy. In surgery, he mentioned several ways to stop bleeding. So, one was by tying. I mean, when we tie some place, for example, injured arm, etc., forcefully, so blood flow will stop, or by using heat, we will call cauterization. So it is, I mean, a common practice these days to stop blood flow by cauterization. So he invented this method. And in field of pharmacology, he described about 670 drugs in his book, The Canon of Medicine. Now his medical books, which he wrote, of course, the most important and famous is Al-Qanun Fit Tib, which is in English, it is translated as the Canon of Medicine. So it is in 5 volumes. It is a medical encyclopedia. I mean, encyclopedia means it includes everything. And it was used, this is important, it was used as the standard medical textbook in the Islamic world and Europe for 7 centuries. up to the 18th century. That is why he is so well known even in the West, and they hold him such high regard because his book was taught there in medical schools, medical colleges for 700 years. And it was a standard book. There was no other competition. And it was so important that it became available in Europe in Latin translation only after 50 years of its composition. And its title was Sufficientia. I mean, they understood its importance, so they were able to translate it. So it is a 5 volume book, so it should have taken a lot of time. So even then, only after 50 years, it became available. Another books, Al-Adwiya Al-Kalbiya. It discusses and lists the medicines for heart disease. And another book is Kitab Taf Al-Madarul Kuliya. Okay. So he's a multi-dimensional person, so he has some other scientific achievements to his name as well. So in optics, he was among those who argued that light had a speed. I mean, he first time gave a concept that light is travel and it has a speed. What he said, if the perception of light is due to the emission of some sort of particles, by a luminous source, the speed of light must be finite. That if light is actually made of invisible small particles which are generated from a source of light, then it should have some speed. That was his logic. And it was easy for him to observe that light travels faster than sound because when there is lightning, we see the thunder first and sound comes much later. He also talked about the relationship between hearing and sound waves and how sound can travel through airwaves. Then he developed a theory of motion in which he made a distinction between the inclination and force of a projectile. I mean, inclination means that the lowering of some object due to gravity, the pull of the gravity, and force of projectile, the force with which it is thrown. So he distinguished between these two forces. And he also believed that each planet had some influence on the Earth. So these planets which are in our solar system, he thought that they have some influence on our Earth. But he did not agree with the astrologers that they determine our life, the pattern of our life. There he disagreed. So he thought that this mathematical astronomy, I mean, you know that most of the astronomical calculations, they are made by mathematical methods. So he said it was separate from astrology. That is in which the movement of stars, etc., is studied. And then he was the person who objected Aristotle's view because Aristotle said that the stars are lit by the light from the sun. But Ibn Sina said no, stars are self-luminous. They have their own light. And well, now it is very clear. But he made a mistake also. He also thought that the planets, they are also self-luminous, but we now know that they are not. They reflect the light of the sun. And he invented a device to monitor star coordinates. इसको कहते हैं सितारों की चाल. In the sky, where is, the location of the stars and their movement. That could be detected by this instrument. And he was also the first person to derive attar, which is so common in our Muslim countries, of flowers from distillation, and use steam distillation to produce essential oils such as rose essence, which is used as aromatherapeutic treatment for heart conditions. He used this archegulab for the treatment of heart conditions. I don't know the details. And these are the books related to these scientific scientific achievements. So they are separate from the medical books which I mentioned earlier. So in the next part, he was, a great philosopher also. So in the next part, I will discuss about his philosophy. So in the series Eminent Arab Scientists, which I concluded in the last vlog, so these were the 10 Arab scientists, these were the 10 vlogs related to that. And other series, Science and Holy Quran, Famous Persons, The Other Side, Miscellaneous Topics, and Japan series. So I won't repeat, you know that how you can reach my vlogs. So please subscribe and share. And these are my all addresses. Thank you very much for your time. Allah Hafiz till the next vlog.